to know you, your stories, your life, things that they can do. Hi, this is Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Thanks for tuning in, people. We certainly appreciate you guys. You guys are the best audience in the world. Don't ever let any other podcaster tell you you are not. I love each and every one of you. It is pretty much platonic at this point, but there's always options if, send me your pictures on Snapchat. Anyway, welcome to the show, folks. We certainly appreciate it. Go to iTunes, Google Play, youtube.com/Chris Voss. Hit that bell notification button and go to patreon.com/Chris Voss to support the show and get in cool private Facebook groups of fan bases for the show. Also, tell your friends, neighbors, relatives, all that sort of good stuff. We've seen an explosion in download and views on the Chris Voss Show, and we're really happy as to what's going on. I have, as always, the best guests. I have all the best guests. Where'd I get that from? Phil Gerbyshak is here with us today, and he is an award-winning sales trainer. He's a sales consultant and sales coach who works with sales and service professionals to get more leads, earn more referrals, and have more qualified sales conversations. Over the past 20 plus years, Phil has sold financial service products, SaaS software, and a variety of services over the phone, in person, and online. He's consulted with companies large and small about the future and at the intersection of sales, marketing, and technology, and he helps the companies and individuals he works with leverage technology to drive revenue. When he's not training, consulting, or coaching, you can typically find Phil on one of Florida's beautiful beaches, reading the latest business book, listening to podcasts, probably the Chris Voss Show podcast after this, or creating content to help his clients achieve their goals. Welcome to the show, Phil.
Hey, Chris, what's up, man? It's so good to see you.
It's glad to have you on and all that good stuff. So what is the Gerbyshak? What name origin of country is that?
It's 100% Polish from my father back. We came over right around the 1900 from Poland. So we're Polish.
Cool. My family came from Germany before the 1900s, late 1800s, before all that weird, crazy stuff went on in Germany where they lost their minds. So
that's good.
So it's for you and me, it's a good thing our families got out of those places. Or certain politicians like to refer to them shitholes.
Yes.
Germany's a nice place. So is some parts of Poland. The part where you leave, probably. I don't know. I'm sure Poland's nice. That's me, and I just lost all my Poland contingency.
Those 7 Polish viewers, they're gone, Chris. We'll win them back, though. By the end of the show, they'll love us.
I'm counting on you, Phil. So, Phil, give us some of your plugs to start out with so people can look you up on the interwebs.
Yeah, sure. So the easiest place, I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn has got so many cool things. So look at me on LinkedIn. If you can spell Gerbyshak, Gerbyshak, find me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Phil Gerb on Twitter. Phil Gerbyshak is my Facebook page, or just search for Gerbyshak and let's have a conversation. I'd love to talk to you anywhere. And then I've got a cool page where folks can download my 10 LinkedIn secrets at getdressedbeforeyougetbusy.com. That's getdressedbeforeyougetbusy.com. All my LinkedIn stuff is there for my 10 great tips so you can have a kick butt profile and attract your right customer.
Now, that's a great name you got there. I guess you don't have any SEO competition from other people named Gerbyshak, or at least Phil Gerbyshak.
No.
I'd kill these days to have a name that was unique. I've got a few people I'm finding in SEO that have my name. So, Phil, it's wonderful to meet somebody who loves and understands the potential and power of LinkedIn, because I also do as well. Years ago, I became, whatever social media rock star, that and $4 will buy you a cup of coffee. On Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, all the mediums. And I just treated LinkedIn like a stupid stepchild. And I just kind of treated her like Ivanka's sister. Anyway, or Eric Trump. And so I always treated it like the stupid stepchild. I kind of ignored it. I just kind of half butted it and put, I just basically logged the name. And then I can't remember who it was. It was a fairly prominent, I think still prominent LinkedIn gal, like 5 or 6 years ago. She challenged me and she says, how do you ever declare yourself as a social media rock star, when you suck at LinkedIn and you have like, I don't know, 50 friends on LinkedIn. And at first I got angry and I was like, screw you too. And then I thought to myself, maybe she's right. And then I said, screw her too. And I'm like, I'm going to show her. So I copied all her numbers and saw what she was doing on LinkedIn, and I determined myself to do better. And now I think I'm like within 50 people of being at the peak of 30,000. I have 126,000 LinkedIn group on LinkedIn that I've grown by myself and curate, and it has a wonderful audience to it. So I understand and love the power of LinkedIn. And I just laugh when people tell me LinkedIn sucks and they don't understand it, because I'm just like, that's fine with me. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think LinkedIn is the present and the future of where social media is going. It's still very private. You know, you don't have to connect to people. You don't get people's email addresses until you connect. So it's still very private. It's still very growth oriented. You know, Microsoft bought them for $26 billion. Well, if Microsoft is spending $26 billion, Chris, it's got to be worth something. And they just continue to make it better. I actually got a notice today from someone in the LinkedIn video department that they just launched some new filters, making it maybe a little bit more fun to use LinkedIn video, because a lot of times it's very kind of static and, you know, you just hold the camera up and you talk to it. Well, now it gives you a little bit more opportunity to do a few more things and make it a little bit more fun. So I think if you're not on LinkedIn, you're definitely missing the boat, especially if you actually want to do business with people and not just get numbers for numbers' sake.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I'm so glad. I remember years ago when I launched my own group, because I was always getting in trouble in other groups. They're like, you're self-promoting. I'm like, what is self-promotion? This whole thing is self-promotion. You know, you're posting your blog posts, you're promoting your stuff. You can only promote other stuff. And I was like, all right. And after getting kicked out of a bunch of groups, I said, screw it. I'll start my own, which I did. And it's taken quite a few years, but it's built itself into 126,000 people. It grows at about 2,000 to 3,000 people a month. I have a lot of webinar companies, conference companies that come to me to advertise. I get 4 powerful emails that I can send to most all the people in the group 4 times a month, once every 7 days, which is an incredibly powerful platform. I mean, when I want to drop an email blast to my group database on LinkedIn, I go over my bit.ly and it's just like all these clicks. And so it's really just a super powerful thing. The people over there are usually professionals. A lot of people that are in my group are C class or C grade, whatever you want to call it, corporate types. And it's just a real professional format. Years ago, when social media first was kind of the Wild West, we used to say about all the different social media platforms, Twitter is the bar, Facebook is your home, LinkedIn is your business. So when you want to do business and you want to be professional, you go to LinkedIn. When you want to, talk to your friends, family, or relatives at home and talk about, stuff that goes on, like, look at my puppy. Facebook is great for that. Twitter is the rancorous dive bar that you go to and you're probably gonna get shot in, but it's fun sometimes.
I'll buy that for sure. Absolutely. I think that's true, Chris.
Yeah. There's some people more drunker than others on Twitter these days as well.
That's true.
If they're not drunk, they're certainly wonder if they're taking something. So there you go. But when they're not throwing elections. So thanks, Twitter and Facebook. That's kind of interesting, though, to me. I just realized no one has accused LinkedIn of having the Russian bots throw the election on LinkedIn. It's Facebook and Twitter who are getting the finger point.
Yeah, well, I think the reason for that is because people on LinkedIn have to connect to a company, and it's very hard unless you start a whole fake company to be that fake person. And LinkedIn, again, because it's Microsoft, they recognize that they're not trying to make so much money off ads. They make money off recruiters. They make money off sales professionals. They're not making a lot of money off. They make some money off of ads, but if you always look at their annual reports, right, it's subscription stuff that they make the money off of. And they put their members first, which means that as a human, you still get a lot of control, which is not the case on Facebook or Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So what are some, the biggest problem I have, and I think you probably see this a lot, even my really high echelon super influencer friends that are even bigger than I am, they treat LinkedIn like a stupid stepchild. They'll see Facebook posts where they're like, oh, LinkedIn, I don't care. And I don't even bother converting anybody because I kind of like having the space all to my little self. But what would you tell people who have that attitude that LinkedIn isn't worth your time?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would ask is, so how much time are you actually spending on it? Like anybody who says it isn't worth your time, if you just have a profile, of course LinkedIn is garbage, right? If you just sit there and do nothing, I mean, it's like, okay, hey, Chris, I just got a membership to the gym. So what, right? Go to the gym, spend some time there. So that's the first thing that I always tell folks, right? Like get off your butt, spend some time there. The second thing that I tell people is have a purpose. Like, why are you there? I get, Facebook and Twitter are great for wasting time, but most people, if they want to be on LinkedIn, if they're going to do business, then have a purpose, right? Who do you want to connect to? What's your message? You wouldn't just walk into work every day and be like, yeah, well, I don't know what I'm going to do today, so I'm just going to sit here until somebody tells me what to do. Well, that's crap, right? So get off your butt, get off your profile, go have some conversations, go find the right people, try to chat them up, share some stuff. And then the third thing that I would say is always focus on value instead of volume. So how do you add value to people's lives? Well, if you know who they are, first you've got some insights. Hopefully you've got some insights, right? Do you do any research? Do you read stuff, or are you just a turd that just sits there and lets the world pass you by? If you're just a turd, well, this isn't for you, but for the rest of you, right? Do some research. What is interesting to your perfect customer? What is interesting to people that you want to talk to? What is interesting about, where you went to college, or do you have a passion? I mean, there's LinkedIn groups for just about everything. I've got a friend / someone that I worked with that he is passionate about Springsteen. Well, there's Springsteen groups on LinkedIn. So join a Springsteen group, connect with those people, spend some time with them, because that's where the magic happens, is when you find someone who has something in common like you. Those are the things that we need to do more of on LinkedIn. And if you're saying, well, it's not worth my time, I'd ask you, how much time are you investing? And are you investing it in a strategic way? Or are you just hoping it's going to be like Facebook and Twitter, where it just kind of happens and you can just say, oh, that was fun, and not get any business?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they like Facebook and Twitter because you don't have to really think about what you're doing. You can mindlessly just post whatever, and you can just social media vomit on a post, and you get likes and whatever, and there's no real sort of thing to it. But LinkedIn has got a lot more controls where you just can't spam follow anybody you want. It's regulated, and if you send too many spam follows, you might get suspended, or you can't send more follows. It's a place where if you abuse groups, you could be booted from groups. And then sometimes if you get booted from one group, you can be banned out of other groups, or limited to where you can't do stuff. So they've got a lot of different regulations and filters on the spamming. And so I think just people don't learn enough about it. And the other thing is they don't kind of get the details of it or want to go through the work of it. A lot of people just they see it as like, well, I go there for jobs, like it's some sort of monster.com site. And the rest of the time, they don't really understand it. And given, LinkedIn for years has not always had the best UI for figuring it all out and working it. But sometimes it's better for people like you and me who teach people how to use LinkedIn and how to master it. If it was easy for people, we'd be out of a job, maybe. I don't know.
Well, maybe, but I think, though, the strategy, though, is still really important, Chris. I mean, whether the UI is easy or not, the fact of the matter is most people do go through their day kind of sleepwalking, and they don't really have a purpose for what they're trying to do with anything. And LinkedIn, that if you're doing that on LinkedIn is super ineffective for that. It doesn't just happen to you on LinkedIn like it can on Facebook. I mean, Facebook tries to suck you in. LinkedIn says, if you don't care, you're just going to get what we give you. And that's just the way it is. And too bad, so sad, and again, most people, I read a study, Chris, that shows that most people spend about 2 minutes a day on LinkedIn. What the heck do you think you can do in 2 minutes? Nothing.
Exactly.
Right? So nothing. So yeah. So instead, take some time and actually, invest in that. Spend 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, a couple times a week, and then actually think about how can I do business on this platform without being salesy and spammy and scummy.
Mm-hmm. And it really comes down to the basics of, presenting yourself as someone with knowledge, someone with good content, someone who can share stuff. Impress people with what you're thinking. I think that's the other reason people are kind of lazy about it, is because it takes a little bit more work. You have to be professional and show your professionalism, and you have to put up content that appeals to professionals. You can't just be like, here's my cat. I mean, you can do that if you want, but good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. It does take more work, but it's totally worth it. I mean, it's a business network. So if you're willing to put in the work, it can work.
Most definitely. I mean, the benefits, I remember growing my group years and years ago and just thinking, God, is this the right idea? And wondering if I should push the button to launch it, and then having to spend the time to curate it, make sure there's no spam. And I was just like, oh man, I remember the first, month it got to like, I don't know, 1,000, or first few months got to 2,000. I was just like, I don't know about all this. But it kept growing, and fortunately I named it really well. So it picked up really well in SEO search on LinkedIn. And then of course, me being a, social media, whatever you want to call it, having a few followers, 2 or 3, I would advertise my social media group and my LinkedIn profile on my Twitter and Facebook channels and drive traffic to them. But I mean, there's just so many benefits to LinkedIn. Do you want to maybe tell people some of the benefits to LinkedIn, or I'll let you have the floor on whatever you want to put to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's still growing. That's the first thing I think that's really beneficial about LinkedIn. I mean, if your ideal customer isn't there right this second, they probably will be very soon, because there's an average of 2 people that join LinkedIn every single minute. So that's a lot of people. A lot of people that join that all the time. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that, out of the Fortune 5,000, pretty much every company is represented there. So depending on who you want to talk to, they're probably there. Third, you mentioned before, and that is it's not spammy. You don't have people that last very long on LinkedIn and time spamming. So you don't have to let them in your network. It's a purely reciprocal network, which means if I don't let you in, you don't get to see my contact information, which means you can't contact me directly. So you can still really control your network, but it does allow you to follow, which is cool, because that way I can still listen to you without necessarily having to let you into my network or me trying to join yours. So I think that's a big benefit. And then the other benefit is that it really does wrap up all the other social networks in one, in that it's got status updates like a Twitter, it's got groups like Facebook, it's got video like YouTube, it's got your resume, if you will, your list of how to be resourceful. And you can then multimediaize that with adding links to your videos, add links to your podcast, add links to your speaker one sheets. If you're a speaker or a realtor or someone, an actor or actress who has one sheets that are important to you, you can show those samples. And then the power of connection. I mean, the big thing that I find that's really beneficial, Chris, is that I can talk to just about anybody, because if I connect to someone who's a super connector like you, and I'm actually a decent human being, I can ask you then for anybody in your network. And most of the time, you're going to say yes, and you're going to pass that along with, here's how you can benefit, how you think Phil can benefit this person that I'm talking to. So those are huge, huge benefits that you just don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, it makes such a difference in quality. I'll have people ask me, hey, can you introduce me to XYZ or whomever? And then you can go ahead and hand off the interest to them and, get the thing going. And it's a great network. I mean, if I want to, like, say I'm searching for a contact I want to have at a company, I can go on there, I can search for a company and see all of its employees. I can, see maybe who the marketing director is or somebody that I want to take and utilize. It just gives me so much more that I can take and do there with, meeting people, networking, just meeting really cool people. There's a lot of messaging. People will send messages to you once they're linked up with you. I'm almost the max of 30,000. I guess at that point, I'm going to have to start looking for, I get lots of invites from my advertisements. So I guess I'm going to start looking for space elsewhere. But, a lot of people just don't know how to game LinkedIn. There's just a lot of different things that can be done with LinkedIn.
Yep, absolutely. So much that can be done with LinkedIn, not to mention, once you get all your contacts, it's the only network that allows you to export them so that you can email them individually on your email platform. You can't do that on Facebook. You can't do that on Twitter. And it lets you have that one-to-one contact that you can't get anywhere else, Chris, which is a big, big benefit, right? It's not just post a status update and hope and pray that somebody sees it. It's really, I have the opportunity, if I connect with you, to really interact with you and to get private with you and to take that connection offline so we can actually do some business.
Oh, yeah. And it really is business formatted when it comes down to it. Me being able to send to, I don't think out of 126,000, all the emails, not everyone subscribes to the email blast from my giant group, but I think it's about 90 or 100,000 that get the email blast. Being able to just send to people's direct email. I mean, my list on LinkedIn is bigger than my list on MailChimp. And I'm sending to C-class people and sending them, whatever promotions I want or whatever I want to talk about. And they click through that stuff. And it's super powerful, man. I mean, once a week I get to deliver an email and boom. It's a little bit of work to, maintain the group, to moderate it and stuff, but LinkedIn does a lot of the work for me. And what's interesting too is there's a lot of crowdsourcing in the group where when they see spam, they'll mark it, flag it, moderate it for me and take it out of the system. And their systems have gotten better at flagging spam with what Microsoft is doing. Recently, they launched stuff that people probably aren't aware of if they're not really into LinkedIn. They just launched it so that you can make video posts now using your mobile device. You can upload video. You can, of course, take photos now more and things of that nature. There's a whole lot more you can do with it that's more like Facebook and Twitter. And the views that you can get from videos you put on there are pretty freaking awesome. I've been doing a thing where I've been actually cutting the podcast off to where it's just the first 4 or 5 minutes. And I've been uploading it to LinkedIn with a teaser trailer, basically telling people that this is the first 4 minutes. If you really want to hear the whole thing, go, click these links to iTunes and Google Play. And that's been working really incredibly well for me. Not only do the videos have a lot of views, hundreds and hundreds of views, but they also take and, they're going to my podcast and wherever my links are and clicking them. So it's huge. And I've seen some people that are in the LinkedIn feed that are just killing it with video.
Yeah. Yeah, video is the next platform, and it gives people a break. I mean, I think eventually we might see some saturation with video where we see a swing back to text, but still a lot of people are shy about producing video during the workday. They think that it's not valuable or they don't know what they're doing or whatever it is. But I think we still have opportunity for video to grow, especially from the C-suite. I think they have an opportunity to kind of cast some vision and have direct conversations, not only with their potential customers and their existing customers, but also with their entire company. You can cast vision so well via video. If you just do a couple minutes at a time of talking about, what's really important, not high-level strategic stuff that nobody understands, but really, rewards and recognition for a C-level executive to say, hey, today Chris Voss did this awesome thing at our company, and we just want to give him a shout out and say thank you. Well, holy crap, nobody does that, and yet LinkedIn makes that super duper simple. So I think there's still a lot of upside to LinkedIn that people are not taking advantage of enough yet.
Oh yeah, I mean it's I don't think that I do all the LinkedIn tricks that you're supposed to do. One thing, let me ask you about. I've always kind of wondered about this, and I'd love to get your opinion on it. The thing about LinkedIn is you can download all the emails and contact information from your contacts, people that you've agreed to mutually follow, friend each other, if you will. I see a lot of people that put my name, my email address without permission, and they ram it into their mailer. What do you think about that? Do you think that's unethical or
totally unethical? In fact, it's against, first of all, it's against MailChimp's terms of service.
And spam.
That's the first thing, right? Well, CanSpam actually says you can email anybody you want as long as you give them an opt-out, but it's against Canada's Castle law. So Canadian anti-spam litigation. Yeah, it is against Canada, which is why InMails, $15,000 a hit, but that's only $12 Canadian. So that's not that bad. So just kidding, right? Sorry, plus Poland and Canada. I'm sorry, Chris. My fault. Right? But I totally think that's unethical. It is illegal. With GDPR coming soon, you really need to be smart about that. I would say the reason you'd export them, again, one-to-one conversations, not blast. Stop thinking you can blast people. Nobody wants email blast. Nobody wants a blast in the face with your stupid message. It's not personal, right? If they didn't opt in, don't opt them in for them, right? Just be straight up. So just like if I give you my business card, don't put me on your mailing list, right? Try to develop a relationship.
Talk
big
to
thing. And talk to me, right? To have a conversation, add some value to my life. I mean, I got a joker the other day. I specifically said, he sent me a message that said, hey, I'd like to do business with you. Are you looking for a job? If you are, let me help you. I'm self-employed. I don't want a job. I've got a job, right? So I said no, but I'm interested in networking. If this is of interest to you, let me know. So he delayed 3 weeks, no reply. I'm like, fine. He's probably busy. So I accepted. The very next message he sends me is, here's all my job tips. By the way, let's get on the phone and talk about jobs. So I replied, I said, dude, what is your deal? Like, are you not able to read? Or do you just not care enough to read?
Yeah, he's
What's the deal?
He's just hammering the marketing there. Doesn't work, right? And that being said, you're going to get 3 out of a million that does work with, okay? But if those are the stupid people that you want to work with that think that those are personal messages, if that is the low-hanging fruit, people are getting educated. People are getting smarter about LinkedIn. They can smell a sales pitch. They can see when it says, hey, bracket first name. They know that you use some automated system. It's not like it was 20 years ago when I first started on the internet where, you didn't even know what the heck a mail merge was. People get that now and they're just turned off. Yeah, I always love it when I get that. Hi, first name.
Yeah. Really close. So close.
So close. You were just off like 26 letters.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's one downside. I think that's also one thing that people get pissy with avoiding LinkedIn is because they see that sort of spam and disingenuousness, and they go, I don't really like LinkedIn, and that's certainly not a reason to dismiss it. I mean, certainly on any platform there's spam. On Facebook, I get I don't know 50 freaking those webcam hookers or whatever you call them on Facebook, friend requests. I get like 50 of those a day. It's just I'm so sick of having to mark them as spam all the time. I just hate it. In fact, if I ever find any of my friends that are proving those things, I'm gonna pop them in the head and probably call them out on Facebook.
I usually send them a private message with a screenshot that says, "Hey, by the way, you're friends with this webcam hooker. What's your deal?"
Yeah, what's going on there? And sometimes they're just stupid. They didn't really look. They just pretty girl, press button. But you talked about something with LinkedIn. I get these LinkedIn things. I'm sure you do too. It seems like this latest trend is like, let's get on a call. And you're like, I don't have any vested interest in getting on a call. I have no vesting. It's like walking up to a girl and going, let's go on a date. And she's just like, I have no vested interest in what we're doing right now. Or they'll send you like 4 pages of their pitch right from the get-go, and you're like, I'm not going to read all that.
Nope. Yeah, you got to add some value first. I mean, that was, that's my, kind of my whole point with LinkedIn is add value before you add volume, right? Always add value. Don't expect that somebody's going to jump on a call with you and spend 15 minutes to talk about your problems, right? I'm starting to look like Matt Foley, motivational speaker, right? With all this air quotes, but that's really what it is. That's the thing. Like, stop this crap and realize if you haven't added value to someone's life, which does not happen with just a LinkedIn connection, stop expecting they're going to jump into a deeper relationship with you. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not the way you wouldn't walk up to somebody at a bar and hold out your hand and go, can we get a call right now? Or, write some big message thing and just totally dominate the conversation for 5 minutes. And as they're turned off, it's sales 101 from back in the day, where you've got to build relationships. You got to build rapport. You need to qualify. That's the other big thing I hate. Like you mentioned earlier, I hate about some of these email messages I get on LinkedIn where I'm not even qualified. Like for instance, for you, they're asking you if you're looking for a job, and you're like, I'm fully gainfully employed. But, why don't you? And they just barrel through it, and you're like, maybe you should qualify me first and ask if I am looking for a job. That might be qualification in sales is definitely a lost art these days.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I got to tell you, Chris, when I started this, I thought LinkedIn was going to be more just maybe an enhancer to a relationship. And I'm realizing now that if I take the time, it can really be 80% of the relationship before I finally earn the right to have a phone call or to have a video call like we're doing today with someone. And I can learn enough about them that I can qualify and not even waste their time, but stay connected, where one day perhaps we could do business, because people change jobs. I mean, the average person now, 17 months in a job. Okay, well, if it isn't today, maybe it's soon. So instead of yakking all over them, if they're not qualified now, go back to that relationship later and see, okay, well, maybe they're qualified now.
You know what I started doing when they send me the let's get on a call thing just right off the bat? I go, sure, man, I can do a call. I'll just give you my lunch and PayPal me $200 for my time. And sure, you can have a call with me.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like, well, why am I paying you? Well, you're paying for my time. You said you wanted to call.
Yep. That's right. Jeffrey Gitomer said, Gitomer said that he'll charge people $10,000 and he'll buy you lunch. You want to pick his brain.
Exactly. And they'll be like, well, what I can do for you and teach you will save you thousands. I'm like, well, great. You won't mind putting up $200?
Yeah.
Half an hour of my time then, because you're going to make that money back, right?
There you go.
So yeah, it's a tough way to market when people market that way. But I think there's important ways. I mean, what's in your mind a better way to market on LinkedIn yourself, whether it's using messages, emails, etc., on the LinkedIn system?
Well, it starts again. Big thing is you have to have a really good profile. It's so important, because if you don't look like someone of value, nobody's going to value you. So that's where, my little free download, Get Dressed Before You Get Busy.com, comes in. It's just a 10-point checklist. Just make sure you hit those. Make sure that your profile stands out, that you look like someone of value, because if you don't, nobody's going to connect with you. No, they might add you and then they ignore you. So that's step one. Then the next step, Chris, is, start posting some things that are valuable, and then get off your profile and start commenting on other people's stuff. Again, if you know who your best customer is, and you know that they're spending time in a group like yours, Chris, if they're spending time in, talking with other people, insert yourself into the conversation in a valuable way. Just have that conversation, get off your profile. If that doesn't work, send them a private message. Send them a private message, and don't ask to get on the phone. Instead, offer them some insight. So I see that you're the CIO of a financial services company. What are you doing about GDPR and the privacy concerns? Because if you do business with any customers overseas, because let's say you work at Deutsche Bank, well, hey, do you have a concern about that? Here's an article I thought might be helpful as you worry about that. Oh, okay. Right. I'm adding some insight, or I see that they just started a new job. So I might have a book that I recommend, right? The First 100 Days is a good book for someone who's just starting in leadership, or a new sales professional. I might recommend them, Mark Hunter's book, High Impact about prospecting. I'm flubbing the name here. Or Anthony Iannarino's book, or Jeb Blunt, or Mike Weinberg, somebody's book, right? So I try to be valuable because I want to earn the right to the next conversation. I always say that it's selling with social, not on social. So with means we're going to work with the platform and eventually be able to earn that offline conversation. On means black, buy my stuff, click my crap. Aren't I awesome? Yay! No, don't do that. Instead, add value.
Most definitely. It makes all the biggest difference. And it's amazing to me how people just don't get it. Sharing people, one of the best initial handshakes that I ever had was I got a contact from John. His last name is John Ferrara of nimble.com, he runs a CRM database, and he targeted several influencers to help launch his CRM. And I think he messaged me on either Facebook or Twitter or something. I think probably on Twitter. He said, "Hey, can I give you a ring? I want to find out more about who you are and what you do." And I was like, "Wow, okay, no one ever asked that." So I gave him my phone number, and he called me up, and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm really curious about you. I see you're, fairly popular, whatever that means. And can you tell me more about you? I'd like to get to know you better." And so he let me ramble on for 5 or 10 minutes, telling me what I do and how I do it and who I am. And at the end, he listened. He just sat and listened. And then at the end, he said, "Well, that sounds awesome. Let me tell you about me." And I, of course, politely listened because he listened to me, and we were having a nice, respectful engagement or exchange of developing a relationship, gaining rapport. And so he told me about him. And then when he got done, we talked about how maybe we could work together on some projects. And that was probably, out of all the different handshake, cold call, new whatever contact things that I've ever seen that really impacted me. And it was a very easy conversion, because people love to talk about themselves. Certainly I do, if you've seen any posts of mine online. And so if you can get people to talk about themselves, get stuff that they're interesting, then you can find and establish areas of rapport where you can take and find common ground. And people like people that are like each other. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. People like people that are like them or appear to be like them. I mean, if you're a broad enough person like maybe you or I, where we've had a lot of experiences, we've done a lot of stuff in life, we've lived longer lives where we've seen it all. We can probably talk about and have knowledge and sound authentic and gain rapport, and just probably about almost any topic. So you can gain rapport with people, and it's such a great way to gain rapport. And it's just, LinkedIn is great. And like you say, the profile is huge. A lot of my traffic actually does come to the group, because I advertise the front line in my LinkedIn profile, which isn't always highly recommended, but the first line in it is my LinkedIn group. And I'm like, "Hey, I have this LinkedIn group, join it." And I think that's what really helps contribute a lot of people who join the group. It grows, like I said, by about 2,000-3,000 a month. So, yeah. Having a strong profile, having lots of good information in there, great avatar picture as well. All those important points. So you look professional.
Got to look like somebody of value before people are going to value you. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. You may not want to be wearing your pot smoking tie-dye t-shirt, look on LinkedIn. Like you have,
yeah, probably
not you. I'm just saying,
right.
In general.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's really important. Yeah, it just makes all the difference in the world.
Totally agree, Chris.
Totally agree. So what do you so you teach people about LinkedIn, you train them, I guess, have some courses and stuff like that?
Yep, I do. So I've got my LinkedIn sales blueprint will be coming out in late March or early April. You'll be able to find that at linkedinsalesblueprint.com. I'm excited about that. It'll really help people increase their selling. It's 6 sessions. We're doing via Zoom webinar that you'll then be able to also get recordings of. It'll have worksheets on each of those, from building out your brand so you can be seen as a person of value, all the way through to how to convert that relationship into an offline conversation, which a lot of people miss. Plenty of time for questions and answers there. So I teach that. I do a lot of live training and a lot of coaching too, Chris. I mean, a lot of people, they want it custom to them. So I've got, salespeople that I work with directly, one-on-one to up their game because their companies aren't paying for that. So if you're an independent salesperson, if you're, selling a higher ticket item, not so much that you're selling t-shirts, but if you're selling something higher ticket, I coach a lot of those folks one-on-one to build out their profile, to develop some strategies, and to create some outlines for what they have to say, not templates that you just send and forget, but outlines so that kind of how to hit the high points and how to have those conversations, because a lot of people, they don't know how to do that. So I do that. And then, yes, I do talk. I go to corporations and associations and I get in front of their audiences of, anywhere from 5 to 5,000 people and talk to them as well.
Awesome sauce. Being able to have resources to learn it. I really think most people need a course for LinkedIn. I think that's what dissuades a lot of people from this service is they don't really get it, and it's detailed, and they need to learn it, and it can be tough for them to do all that. So I think it's real important that they learn the system and go through it. And I would highly recommend you do a course. In fact, even at my level, there's probably some new things that I'm missing, some new techniques or tics that I should be utilizing to get more business out of LinkedIn.
Yep. You can always learn more, Chris. That's for sure. And LinkedIn is always changing. That's both the blessing and the curse about LinkedIn.
It most definitely is. I'm seeing them. They've changed a few things, and they've had a few snafus that I've kind of been like, oh, man, thanks Microsoft for buying them out. You brought the Microsoft. I'm not we were fine before, but now you're mucking it up. But I think they're getting better. I don't know why it took so long for them to get picture and video upload, but whatever. It's here now.
I think a lot of it, Chris, is the old platform was really built on some old technology, and now that Microsoft is behind them. Now, I mean, that the change they made last January that a lot of people complained about put them on a level playing field with a lot of the other platforms that simply weren't there before. So they had to leap ahead. They didn't really change the platform drastically in like 15 years. The actual what it was built on type platform, right? They made cosmetic changes, but not as much. So Microsoft enabled them to leap ahead and to really get to where they are today, which I think is a great position. Their integration with Microsoft Office is fantastic. They have a thing called Point Drive that is really cool, Chris. It is almost like you can have your own private little wiki, blog, and video community right with them for the high-end enterprise user of LinkedIn, which is awesome. Makes it really cool.
Oh yeah, it's just amazing what you can do with the system. So give me your plugs again, Phil, so that we can direct some traffic your way. And
yeah. So if you want the 10-point LinkedIn, the 10-point LinkedIn report card, so you can grade yourself. This is all self-guided. If you go to getdressedbeforeyougetbusy.com, getdressedbeforeyougetbusy.com, you can get that. Just sign up. You'll get that back. You can also, I encourage you, connect with me on LinkedIn. Gerbyshak is GERBYSHAK. connect with me there. And then, you know, the LinkedIn Sales Blueprint will be out at it. Probably won't be out right when this goes live. It'll be out really soon after that at linkedinsalesblueprint.com, or find me on your favorite social network. You know, I'm on them because I'm testing them to see if there is value to be given to folks. I don't recommend all of them to all my clients, but for me, I do test them to see if there's value, so you don't have to.
Definitely, that's really important. So everyone go check out Phil online. Be sure to go to all of our websites, of course, the youtube.com/Chris Voss, Google Play, iTunes. Go to patreon.com/Chris Voss. Be sure to subscribe to all those different mediums if you will. And we certainly appreciate you guys. You guys have been a wonderful audience, especially those of you who have listened this far. And we certainly appreciate you. Be sure to tune in next time. Thank you, guys.